We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're going to talk about ice fishing, but it's not going to be the type of conversation about ice fishing where we're simply talking about the depth of the ice and how the fish are biting and whether you're having a good time or not. It's not a good story that we're going to talk about. Phillip Seefeldt is going to join us now. He is an acting captain with Region 1 Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, which means that he's somebody that gets to go out there and enforce and is asked to enforce the rules of outdoorsmen and women. Phillip, good to have you coming down the road with us.
I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this afternoon, Joel.
Okay, let me explain my first ice fishing house to you. It was on wood skids. I bought it from a friend it was a spearing house. It was worth next to nothing. I gave him $200 for it, and in the end, I took it back to an old pit that we had on an old farm, and I burnt it down. That was my fish house. It wasn't the type of fish house that we're about to start talking about right now. It's changed. Fish houses or ice shacks or whatever you want to call them, shanties have changed to the point now where we're talking in some of these showers, restrooms. I mean, it's just a whole different world out there, Phillip.
Yeah, that's correct. I would say within the last 5-10 years, we've really seen an influx of these RV style fish houses, and as you said, they're more expensive now than when you and I first started out, and so people are trying to utilize these houses for more than just ice fishing. They're taking them camping in the summertime. They're taking them to deer camp. They're going to Wee Fest, just trying to get a little more bang for their buck. So yeah, with a lot of modern conveniences in these fish houses.
Well, in my fish house that I have now, I'm not going to try to be so innocent. I've got an oven, I've got a stove, I've got a microwave, I've got all of those things, I've got a TV. So I upgraded, but I don't have one with a restroom, and I'm not begrudging those individuals with a toilet or with a shower. What both you and I know is it's got to go somewhere. It's got to have
exactly.
a storage, just like any RV. So explain to people, if you would, what's happening.
Well, this last week we received a report of an individual that had emptied their black water tank, or essentially their septic tank. It's very similar to a camper where they hold the septic water and in your shower water, dishwater in separate tanks. And we got a report that an individual had dumped it out on the ice of Upper Red Lake. This report came into one of our local conservation officers, and what wasn't surprising is that, every year we get a couple of these that we hear about. We definitely investigate, try to take an enforcement action if we have enough probable cause. But the worrying thing is this officer has received 3 or 4 of these same complaints during the month of January, where in the past we'd maybe receive 1 or 2 a winter. And I want to make sure that people understand that 99% of the people out there are doing this right. Anglers need to take the time to plan ahead for the disposal of this, whether it's visiting an RV dump station on the way home or handling it in another manner, maybe transferring it into another tank and taking it to a disposal site. But on the lake is not the proper place, and we will take enforcement action if individuals are found dumping their septic systems on the ice.
Captain Seefeldt, I have to ask you this. What can you do to catch them? What are the rules in Minnesota? In North Dakota, I don't have to get a license for my fish house anymore. What I have to do is I have to make sure that my name is on it, my phone number is on it, so that individuals like yourself that are out there enforcing the regulations and the laws that are thrust upon you to enforce, that they have access to me. What about these individuals? What chance do you have at catching them?
In all honesty, it is very difficult. It's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. And what I want to encourage is the ice angling community is a tight group of people. As you mentioned, you have an ice castle at home. I've got one sitting in the driveway, and this disgusts me as much as it does you. I try to bring my kids up right when we're out there. We pick up, leave it better than we found it type situation. But we want to have people report this stuff to us. People have cell phones. If you can get a license plate number, you can turn on your video camera and record it. It's very difficult for us to follow up. If we have limited information. Maybe a red pickup with a white ice cat. A white wheeled house, I should say. There's a lot of those out there, so it's difficult unless we can get some type of video or something of them coming off the lake. And this isn't just a Red Lake situation. It's a situation across all lakes, including, we've had these issues on Mille Lacs, Lake of the Woods, Leech Lake, and I'm sure it's no different in North Dakota, that you're probably getting some of these reports with the existence of these RV style houses. But we definitely want people to report them. You can remain completely anonymous by calling our tip line, the Turn-In Poachers line. That'll get you in contact with either a state patrol dispatcher or the local conservation officer. And then, just like I said, get as much detailed information as you can. And obviously our officers are out there looking for this stuff when we're conducting angling license checks, fish house identification, those things. And we use those contacts as educational opportunities to provide the public with information on what they can and can't do. And obviously we're going to remind people, it's not only the RV style fish houses, it's the amount of waste out on the lake itself. I'm sure you've seen reports in the past of litter being left on the lake, and once the snow goes away, the lake associations are stuck with having to clean that stuff up. And again, I want to mention, this is a very few amount of anglers that are doing this, but one bad apple can make the whole barrel bad. So, or make them look bad, I should say. So I encourage people to take the time to report this stuff if you're seeing it out there.
Well, officer, what do you say to those individuals, and it's going to come up, that say, look, it's disgusting, it's wrong, but overall for the fishery, it's not that big a deal? What would you say to them?
I would say that it's state law that you can't do it, and we are going to enforce that. Nobody else wants to come out to that ice and witness what you had left. Just because you're gone doesn't mean it disappears. Somebody else has to look at that, and it can have a cumulative effect on the fishery. Like you said, maybe one instance isn't gonna kill the resource, but the fact is it's against the law, and we will enforce those laws.
Captain, let me throw one more at you. What do you say to those individuals who say, Heitkamp, you don't have a bathroom in yours and you fish a lot, so don't tell me that you're not going out there and going, let's just say, number one? What would you say to those individuals?
I would say, plan ahead. I think I know what kind of fish house you've got. It's probably very similar to mine. It may not be the most pleasant to people, but you bring a 5-gallon bucket and a box of kitty litter and put it in a garbage bag, and you dispose of it at the end of the day. Like I say, there's many people that are going to step outside to do the number one. The fact is, we need to prepare when we go out to the ice to have everything in line so that we can do everything the right way.
Both you and I see more of them. I mean, we do. We see more ice castles out there. We see more fish houses with these type of capabilities. And I think people are enjoying the fact that they can use it at lakes all season long. It's basically become a lake cabin, which I don't begrudge. I think the manufacturers are providing a product that people need and want, and good, because both you and I are big supporters of getting people in the outdoors. But that doesn't change the fact that if you want to wreck it for everyone, I can't think of a better way to wreck it for everyone, Captain, than doing this.
No, that's for sure. Like I said, one person can shed negative light on this, and whether it's litter or it's the septic systems, we all need to do our part. And again, report that stuff if you see it, because sometimes that when this stuff comes up, it leads to increased regulations. And I don't know that any of us as ice anglers want more regulations. We've got a lot of regulations out there that we already have to follow. And so if we do it right the first time, we don't have to pay the consequences of that.
I'm going to go back to how we started this conversation, though, which is how thick's the ice? What are you seeing out there?
It really varies. I mean, we're seeing 2 feet in a lot of spots. It's stuff we're dealing with in the southern end of our region, which is, when I say southern end of our region, it goes anywhere from Glenwood all the way up to the Canadian border, over to the Walker area. The southern edge of the region is dealing with a lot of slush pockets on top, and we also have deep snow. We had a fairly decent layer of ice down, but when we got the weight of that snow and that slush has made it very difficult to get around. And unless you've got a plowed road or a snowmobile, it's getting off that main path can be very difficult. Obviously, the resorts up on Lake of the Woods, Leech Lake, or Red Lake, we've got pretty good accessibility through those resorts. So they do a nice job of getting people out there and being accessible.
A ton of my friends go up to Lake of the Woods. I mean, they live for it. The two bodies that they just search out are Lake of the Woods and Devil's Lake on the North Dakota side. And, they were complaining hard that in the beginning of January here, some of those areas on Lake of the Woods only had 12 inches of snow, which was unheard of for this time of year.
Yeah, no, it definitely varies, and it varies from season to season. I hate to say we don't need any more snow, but we're coming off of a drought, and many of our lakes need replenishing, and I think we're just going to have to face the fact that this winter is going to be a little bit more difficult. Just different ways of getting out and enjoying the outdoors.
Yep, you're spot on, right? I will say it for you, though. We don't need any more snow. The one thing I will add to all of that is when you've got somebody in your little old red Jeep, which I drive out to the lake, and they're not familiar with it, and you hit those slush pockets, it gets their eyes really wide really fast. It really does.
My eyes got fast last weekend because I was one of them that got stuck in a slush pocket. I was very fortunate that I didn't have the fish house behind me. I was doing a little scouting, but it can catch you off guard, and just be prepared.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got chains, a cell phone, a way to get off that lake if you do get stuck.
You bet. Captain, thanks for what you do. I appreciate it.